Hello, Wheelmasters, and welcome back to Mastering the Wheel. Today, we're on day 19 of our Bankroll Building Challenge and doing extremely well. We've got 18 consecutive wins behind us, and of course, hoping to put another one under our belt today. So, hopefully, we can manage to get that done. Now, today we're going to be playing the usual strategy. I mean, I feel if it's working, why change, right? It's been doing amazing. This is one of my favorite strategies. It's how I built my previous bankroll, and that's why I decided to show you guys how to build a bankroll using this strategy mostly. I know I deviated from that a little bit back when I had one of my major updates to the program. We played some sort of dealer bias strategies. We were playing with the numbers and neighbors, which was a lot of fun too. But I do favor this strategy that I play. And if you're new to the channel, the strategy that I'm playing is we're betting on the hottest 18 numbers. That's right, the 18 numbers that are hit most frequently over a window of spins. I like to use 74 spins. And I find that betting this way makes a big difference compared to betting, say, red, black, even, odd, high, or low. And the reason being is, so imagine you're betting on red or black, and you want to bet on, say, red because it's the hottest or last to hit or whatever. Well, there's numbers in red that are being hit more frequently than others. And then there's that whole group of numbers that's just not being hit at all. So what I've learned is that instead of choosing a pre-selected group of numbers, half the wheel, red, black, even, odd, high, or low, I isolate the individual numbers that have been hitting most frequently, and I target those, and that's what I bet on. And I found that over time, I actually do have a higher hit rate than I would have otherwise. And not only hit rate, but like an overall higher win rate. Like, I can still win this strategy if I'm only hitting 37, 38%. But what I find is, when you're betting on red or black, the strategy that I'm using today has 7 levels. And it's very easy for 7 red or 7 black to come up. You'll see that very often. But when it comes to 7 cold numbers, which is what can wipe me out in this strategy, I don't see a run of 7 cold numbers nearly as often as I see a run of 7 red or 7 black. Now, we can debate why that is. Is the wheel really hot? Or is it because my bets are dynamic, just following patterns? One thing I do notice, for example, is, maybe I'll have my bets down on the wheel and the number 9 will come. And I didn't have a bet on number 9. But number 9 being hit that one time will have made me lose. But that one hit will put 9 now on the hot list. So now in the next bet, I'm betting on 9. And then maybe a couple of spins from them, the 9 will come again. So now I win on the number 9. I see that happen over and over again with all kinds of numbers. So keeping the bets dynamic, I think, does help. But ultimately, in the end, I think it comes down to me following the trends, following the patterns. But again, whatever it is, I tend to do better this way, and that's why I continue to bet like this. My whole philosophy when I play roulette is place my bets where the ball is landing. Again, if you're new to the channel, that's how I play, and this is the strategy that we're going to be using today. The hottest 18, it's a 7-level progression. It's a martingale all the way up, double the bet on every loss, and only cold numbers can wipe us out. Now, I also like to use a roulette tool. I'll show that to you right now. This is Betmaster. And Betmaster is a fantastic tool in many ways. So the first thing it's going to do is place bets for me. It has a progression builder right inside of it that allows me to build progressions, custom progressions, whatever I want, and have the program automatically execute bets for me. And the advantage to that is, for example, today's strategy, hottest 18, is humanly impossible to do. You couldn't possibly place 18 bets on the table in the amount of time the casino gives you. And on top of that, know what 18 numbers are the hottest, right? So this program does that, no problem. And the other advantage to the program is we get heat maps. We can look at the wheel in ways that you've never seen before. And there are dealer biases, okay? And not every time, not every spin, and they don't last for long. I call them temporary biases. But for whatever reason, the dealer can sometimes put the ball in the same location of the wheel over and over and over again. Well, that's when a sector of the wheel will become hot. Now, it's impossible to know whether the hot sectors of the wheel are a bias or just random noise, I call it, which, it just comes from the game being random. And sure, sectors of the wheel do get overactive from randomness, but they can also get overactive because of a dealer bias. So again, impossible to tell the difference, but either way, they're hot for a reason, so place your bets there. And the program allows you to see the wheel that way. So these are huge advantages when it comes to playing roulette. So we'll talk more about the way I play and other techniques that I apply to the game that give me an edge over this game. But for now, we're going to go ahead and set up my program, and I'm going to show you exactly how we get this started, and then we'll talk some more about that. But before we do, if you guys don't mind hitting the subscribe button and the like button, it does help out the channel a great deal, and I do very much appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. Now, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get some history into the program. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the casino history. And we're just going to take a screenshot of that with my snippet tool. And then I'll save that to a file. All right, and import it. And there's the image. Perfect. We've got all 88 spins, so I'll import those. And as you can see here, 31 was the last number here, but oh, sorry guys, give me a second. I forgot to do one of the most important things, and that's start up data collection. There they are. Okay, so 31 was the last number that showed up here, and 31, 4, 31, and then 24. So we're missing 24. So I just got to put in 24 manually. And there it is. Okay, so now that's done, and then I can go ahead and close this. All right, so we're now collecting data. You'll see every new spin populate over here in the history bar. And the next thing I'm going to do is open up the heat map, and this is how it looks. We're looking at the hottest and coldest numbers on the wheel, and I'm going to adjust my slider to 74 spins because that's the sample size that I like to take from. And now notice how we got some gray numbers. What the gray numbers are any number that's been hit exactly 1 in 37 spins. And then the red numbers are any number that's been hit or more than 1 in 37, and then the blue numbers, any number that's been hit less than 1 in 37. So we're going to be using this heat map as one of our triggers today, and I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. I'm just going to continue setting up BetMaster, and then we'll get into the triggers. So this is the GUI that keeps track of all of the statistics for individual numbers. Now it also tracks these same statistics for streets, double streets, corners, and splits. And I'm going to go ahead and filter this by hot. Now we can see here, for example, we've got the number 23. It's been hit 5 times over the last 74 spins. This number would be 2 because in 74 spins, the number should have come twice. So 5. It's not like crazy hot. These can get a lot bigger. So this is kind of like average hot, potentially just random noise. But anyways, this is the kind of information that we can get. And then when it comes to percentage, we see that it's been hit 6.76% of the time over the last 74 spins. Longest it's gone without being hit is 37 spins. Last time it was hit was 12 spins ago, and it's been hitting on average 1 every 14 spins. So we get this information for every single number and every single sector of the wheel. Okay, so after that now, the next thing we can do is we're going to go ahead and start up a session. So I'll start new, and I'm going to call this what we're doing. So today we're on Bankroll Building Day 19. Okay, and then for this progression, we're going to need a $230 bankroll to start. Okay, and now all I have to do is go in here and I'm going to load up my progression. There it is there. And I'm going to make sure that I've got all of my parameters set correctly. So I'm going to check this. Our stop win is going to be $25. That's about 10% of our total amount at risk. So that's set correctly. And I'm just going to double check to make sure that. So I'm going to put the trigger on right now. The last time we played, I turned the trigger off so that I could come in. I manually turned the trigger off so I could come in at a specific moment that I felt was a more opportune moment to enter the game. And I'm going to explain that as soon as we get the trigger set up. So I'm setting up a trigger called System Failure. and we only want it to fail once. And I'm just going to put 2,000 spins in there. It's just going to keep that as a window that it tracks, but it's not really important for this. If I were tracking more, if I wanted it to fail more than once, then that window would be important. We're going to reset the trigger after 14 spins. So that means it's just going to stop at, or 14 wins. It's going to stop betting after 14 wins. And I'm going to set this because I want my custom clicks to stop moving when the trigger is activated. And I'm going to explain all that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now the trigger is set. Okay, so now to explain what's happening here. We've got a trigger called system failure. And what's going to be happening is the program is going to be tracking wins and losses, every result, and tracking whether we would have won or lost on the progression. But we're not placing any bets right away. We are waiting for 7 cold numbers to come and wipe us out virtually. And once that happens, that's when the program is going to activate the bets and start placing bets. Now, the reason we're doing this is because this particular progression, that's 18 number coverage with 7 levels in the progression, has a mathematical probability of failing once every 216 spins. Now, that number is really important because it tells us the average failure rate of this progression. That's valuable information because now we know that it's going to fail on average that often. Of course, it can fail sooner and it can take much longer to fail. We're just talking about averages here. But knowing that, if we wait for it to fail, the chances of that system failing again back to back are slim. It can happen, and it does happen, but it doesn't happen very often. And that's what we're using as one of our triggers to enter the game today. The other trigger that is potentially going to be used is the heat map right here. So this heat map has on average 12 red numbers on it at any given time. Right now, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 numbers, just like I said. And that's going to happen throughout. Now, I find that when the system fails, typically that heat map will drop down to something, well, below 10 numbers, usually 7 or 8 red numbers. And I know that the system is most likely going to fail because on average, that's what happens. Okay. 7 cold numbers typically come more frequently when or cold numbers in general tend to come more frequently when that heat map drops below 7. Well, 10, but usually 7 or 8 is when the system actually fails. Now, another thing I noticed is that when that heat map is overactive, when there's 13 plus red numbers on there, especially if they've been sustained for a while, 15, 20 spins, or when that heat map gets up to like 15, 16 red numbers, I find it can take forever for the system to fail. And so that's another good moment to jump in because all we really need to do is get 14 wins and get out. So if the system seems like it's just not going to fail because the heat map is overactive and these numbers are just hitting more frequently than statistically expected for whatever reason, why not jump in and make your money when that's happening? So that's the other trigger. So basically what we're going to be doing today is waiting for the system to fail. So I'm going to be watching the heat map while we're waiting for that. And if I notice while we're waiting that the heat map becomes overactive, 13 plus numbers that have been sustained for a certain period of time, then I'm going to go ahead and deactivate the trigger and allow the program to start placing bets manually, or automatically, I should say. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, this trigger can take some time to activate. It can take minutes or it can take hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the video, of course, and I'm going to be putting on a song from the Betmaster soundtrack. This is actually a new song. So there's a bit of a story behind the song that I'm going to be putting on right now. The name of the song is called Follow the Data. And this song came to me from, about a month ago or so. One of my Betmaster members, Dave, he wrote me a really nice testimonial. And after I read it, I thought, this would make a great lyrical piece. So since I've been working with Betmaster, I've been writing songs about my experience with Roulette and with Betmaster and some of the things that I've learned. So that's where the Betmaster soundtrack came from. And then And then this testimonial from Dave, it prompted me to write a song about it. So that's what I did. I've been spending the last month or so writing this song, and I just finished it a couple days ago. And so it's called "Follow the Data." I'm going to dedicate this session to Dave, and so thank you, Dave, for that really nice testimonial. And this song came from your words. So here we go, guys. I'll see you guys back here in about 3 minutes, and I hope you enjoy the song.
Yeah. Mastering the wheel. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Been a month in, yeah, I had to learn the flow. Little curve at the start, but now I'm in control. Hit Jason up, man, he answered every call. Set me up clean, now I'm watching numbers fall. Not just luck, not as deeper than a spin. This that data-driven edge built to win. Tried a few systems, had to test the scene, and I locked in heavy with the hottest 18. Now I sit down with a whole new state of mind. No more guessing, I'm just following the signs. What he built, man, it's levels above. Turn probability into something I could trust. Follow the data, don't chase the wheel. Stay in your lane, let the math get real. From 10-cent bets, now the stacks grow fast. Bet master system, yes, built to last. Follow the data, that's the code I keep. Win by design, I don't pray, I don't reach. For small plays, now scale it up clean. All gas, no fear. Riding high to say 10. Started small, yeah, dime on the line. Watched it build up a little at a time. Now I'm moving dollars every time that I play. 500 daily, yeah, that's real, not to say. No gimmicks here, I ain't selling no dream. I was skeptical too, till I seen what I seen. Consistency hit, then it started to click. This ain't luck anymore, man, this system legit. Jason real, yeah, he stand on his name. When you reach out, he don't play no games. Help you set it up, get you running it right. Now I'm cashing out, steady, every night. Follow the data, don't chase the wheel. Stay in your lane, let the math get real. From 10-cent bets, now the stacks grow fast. Bet master system, yes, built to last. Follow the data, that's the code I keep. Win by design, I don't pray, I don't reach. For small plays, now scale it up clean. All gas, no fear. Riding high to say 10. This ain't luck, this is structure. This ain't guessing, this ain't guessing. This is numbers. From a learner to a believer. Now I scale. Now I'm eating. Yeah. Spread the word. If you know what I mean. Bet master. Hottest 18. Follow the data and let the wheel talk.
Okay, guys, so I'm just going to jump right in here, and we're doing pretty well. It was down below 10 about 15 minutes ago, 10 red numbers on the heat map, and now it's up to 14. So I'm just going to go ahead and deactivate this trigger, and we'll place some bets here in a second. I just got to get this all set up so that or before the next spin result is detected. Okay, there we go. Just made it. Now it should start to place bets here. And perfect. And we're off. Now we are just over 250 spins, just over 250 spins in, and the system didn't fail. We did not see a run of 7 cold numbers. Now I don't know if you guys noticed when the spins were sped up, but there was a run of 7 black about 100 spins ago or so, and there was also a run of 11 red. So that's 2 runs that would have taken out our bankroll had we been betting on red and black. I didn't track. I wasn't paying attention to the even, odd, etc. But I do find that Any even bet, even odd, high, low, red or black, they do come on average once every 100 spins, and I really can't say the same thing about cold numbers. They even with their they're supposed to come roughly one every 216 spins, and they do on average, but I find that that happens when they come in closer succession. It happens less than if I were to, with red or black. I find that it's my observation. I just happen to see red or black come either, once every 100 spins or sometimes a little bit less. I won't go 300 or 400 spins usually where I don't see a run of red or black, whereas I easily go 300 or 400 spins where I don't see a run of 7 cold numbers. So for whatever reason, there seems to be a difference between those two. I honestly don't know exactly what it is. It could be because the table is hot sometimes due to dealer bias or wheel bias or some other factor that I just don't know. It could be because my bets are dynamic. I'm always moving my bets around. That could be it. But I really don't know why I tend to do better this way, but I just do. So I'm not a big fan of betting on any of the even bets, to be honest, because you're putting I guess you could say you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, and all of those eggs aren't getting hit. What I mean is like, and I've explained this in other videos before, but if you're new to the channel, this is kind of how I see it. Where, if you're betting on, say, red or black, let's say you want to bet on the hottest color, so you're betting on red, and so there's going to be a few numbers in the red group of numbers that make red the hottest. But then there's all of those other numbers that are in the red that aren't getting hit for whatever reason, or that are hitting less. So, what I do, rather than pick 18, a group of 18 pre-selected numbers like red, black, high, low, even, or odd, I target the 18 numbers that have been hitting more frequently over a specific spin window, and just in the long run, I seem to do better. I seem to have a higher win rate overall by doing that. And I've tried systems too where I've played like lower number coverage, like 12 numbers doing the same thing, and 24. I really do find the sweet spot is with an even number bet, 18. When you go down to 12 numbers, the variance tends to stretch out wider. What I mean is, like, when you're just betting on 12 numbers, it's very easy to go 25 spins without hitting any of those 12 numbers. Whereas when you're betting on 18, not so much. And then so the trade-off in lower number coverage is you get wider variance, and then the trade-off in higher number coverage is it gets very expensive to recover. I like very quick recoveries. I'm not a fan of systems where you have to repeat a bet to make a full recovery. I like to recover in one bet. So to do that, let's say with a 24 number system, you have to triple your bet. So it gets very expensive. My limit for a 24 number system is 5 levels. But I guess so. You sacrifice a couple of levels. Sure, you're going to win a little bit more, but you need to win within 5 levels. And the bankroll is also slightly higher than with a 7 level martingale, covering half the wheel. So there's trade-offs in either direction. I really do find that the sweet spot is with an 18 number system. And anybody will tell you, playing roulette, like, your best odds are to bet a 1-to-1, right? Any of the even bets, it's where you're going to get your best odds. And it's very true. I've found that in testing systems. Now, it's not to say that there's not, some decent lower number or higher number systems. They do okay, and you can win. Sure. And they, I guess that's all I really have to say about those. They do okay, but I've never won as much with any other system than I do with this system, right? This is why I've been favoring the system. And I know maybe I don't want to use the word boring, because I don't find it boring, but maybe I know a lot of people watch roulette channels looking for that next best system, right? Because the last one they tried didn't work, or people were always looking for the better solution, right? And I don't know, when you find something that just really works, I don't know, would you use something else? I mean, I use other systems too sometimes, but in the end, I use this one by far the most over all of them because I find it honestly just to be the least risky, only because of the success that I've had with this system, I guess. But does that make sense? Um, so that's kind of why you've been seeing me favor this system and using more or less this one to build this whole bankroll. I used another one a little while ago. It was a 14 number coverage system. We were using kind of a dealer bias type system. We were betting on last to hit, covering numbers and neighbors around last to hit and right across the wheel, and that system did okay. Although I did have to walk away, one of those 3 sessions, because the session just wasn't going well mathematically, and so I left to save my bankroll. But yeah, and speaking of walking away and mathematically, again, like if you're new to the channel and you're unfamiliar with my philosophy and how I approach roulette, I do take a mathematical approach to the game. Like this system, for example, has a probability of failing 1 every 216 spins, and so knowing that, I leave within 20% of that. So I give myself 40 spins, and I choose a moment to enter, like a statistically stretched moment. Like today, we were watching for a system failure or the overactive heat map. So I ended up coming in the overactive heat map. And speaking of overactive heat map, it's doing okay. We have 45% hit rate, so we're doing all right. But yeah, so I've I've studied the crap out of roulette, and what I learned is that roulette is so much more than a game of random. It's a game of probabilities, and I can compare it to other gambling games. Like, so you guys know, like blackjack, for example, right? You know about card counters, or people who even card counters use math to make their calls because they understand what the odds are of making certain calls. Why you should double, or I should say split, why you should split or when to split. There's specific cards that you end up with in front of you that you make mathematical decisions on, and doing that gives you an edge over somebody who doesn't do that, right? And the same thing with poker. Poker players, the best players in the world, they don't keep on winning because they're the luckiest guys in the world. They do because they take a mathematical approach to the game, and that gives them the edge over people who don't. Roulette is no different. It's to the casino's advantage to make you believe that roulette is only a game of random. Just like I said in my last video, like if you believe the game is truly random, what's that going to do to the way you bet, right? You're not going to think it matters, and you're not going to think anything matters. You're just going to jump in and play and hope to win. Roulette is so much more than that. And when you take a mathematical approach to the game, you'll find that you do gain an edge by understanding the probability of every event, and using the system failure trigger is probably one of the most powerful triggers, and one of the most powerful techniques that I use to help me mitigate risk. So if you haven't seen my last video, I encourage you to watch it, because I pulled up a chart in that video. One of my tools on the website is a back tester, and what it allows me to do is put in a spin sample. Betmaster collects data, and I can use the data that I collect from Betmaster and put it into this back tester. So I've got a spin sample. I've got, hundreds and hundreds of samples of thousands of spins. But I took one of my biggest samples of 5,000 spins and I put it into my back tester. And then I take this progression, hottest 18, and I put it into the back tester. And then when I back test the strategy, it shows me a pattern that I see in every single data set that I put into the back tester. I showed you this over 5,000 spins so you could get a really good, like, zoom out and really see what roulette is doing. And so this system has an average failure rate of 1 every 216 spins. In the back tester, the example that I showed the other day, it failed once every 224 spins, only 8 spins off of its mathematical model. And it's like that right across the board. Give or take a few spins in either direction, but it fails exactly when it's supposed to. So what I mean by that is on average, right? But what you can see is like sometimes it fails maybe after 100 spins, and then maybe it fails after 300 spins, and then it fails after 400 spins, and then it fails after 150 spins. So you can sort of see this pattern. And where I got the system failure from is what I noticed is when the system failed, it didn't fail again for at least another 40 or 50 spins on average. That's where I got the 20% from. Like my spin window here of 40 spins, I got it from looking at these patterns by back testing my progression over hundreds of thousands of spins. And that's how I came to the conclusion that, well, when you bet on a statistically rare event, the chances of that rare event happening again are slim. It's going to happen. Well, sorry, again, back to back. It's going to happen again. But to have a rare event happen back to back, well, it's rare. It's even more rare. So that's how I came to the conclusions, was by looking at my back test charts. So like I said, if you haven't seen the last video, check that out. And I show a really good example of what I see in every time I back test this strategy. And so this is what I mean by entering the game in a statistically stretched moment. After the system fails, I enter. I stay for no more than 14 wins. I can easily get 14 wins before it's going to fail again, and then I leave. And that's it. Now, I've lost because it does fail back to back sometimes. On average, so when I throw in, like, because most of my spin samples are about 1,000 spins, so when I throw in a spin sample of 1,000 spins, I'll see all these opportunities throughout the 1,000 spin samples that I could have come in and won and left no problem. And then there's that one moment in the 1,000 spins where the system would have failed like 2 or 3 times in such close succession that if I would have entered there, I would have lost. And that's on average once every 1,000 spins. So this means that somewhere every 1,000 spins, this event happens that when you enter, you're going to lose. And over the 1,000 spins, this event happens in an area where, so the risk is somewhere between, when you enter the game, there's somewhere between a 5 and a 10% chance you're entering when that is going to happen. Okay. So you basically got every time, as long as you do this once a day, that's usually how I do it. You basically have a 90% chance of success of doing this when you enter. So you already start off with 90%. And then once you enter, you go ahead, you get your 14 wins, and then you leave. Now, I mean, I've got, back tests where I put systems in and it just smooth sailing all the way through. It didn't fail in close succession. That can happen too. And I mean, you really don't know when these events are going to happen. We can't predict the distribution, right? I don't know when they're going to happen. I just know what happens on average, and I use that to my advantage. So it's really been an edge for me to learn this and apply it. And yeah, we're still doing great, guys. We are at I think we just won that last one, so that's 10 wins now, 47%, and still doing good, moving along. And the heat map's not that hot though. We've only got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, only 11 red numbers. But I've won with less, and I've lost with more. That's another thing about this trigger that we use today. Again, averages. I notice what happens on average, and I use that to my advantage. It's not bulletproof. There's no bulletproof system for roulette, but there are some things you can do that will help you simply lose less or win more. Right? I mean, we all know the worst mistake and probably the most common mistake roulette players make is staying at the wheel too long, right? And that's often because you want to hit a financial target. My advice is forget about the financial target. Forget about it. And if you're even thinking about going for 20%, don't even bother. Try going for 10%. You've already increased your chances of winning, by twice. And then if you have a spin window, if you understand the risk of your progression and create that spin window, then forget about the financial target. You want to hit the financial target before the spin window, but if that spin window comes before the financial target, then that's when you leave. Like, I can typically win this progression within 30 spins on average. If it takes me 35 spins to win this session, I've gone a little deeper in the progression than normal, and it already wasn't a great session. if I have to go to 40 spins to win this progression, well, if I get to 40 spins, I'm out. And, it wasn't a good session if I have to go to 40 spins. And another thing is if let's say I win my last bet at 35 spins and I still need 2 more wins to get to my financial target, I should not continue to play because I'm not going to reach my financial target anyways. My progression is 7 levels and I've only got 5 spins left to my budget. So I don't even have the spins left to see another cycle through to the end, right? So in that situation, I would leave at 35 spins, right? So it's that kind of discipline that allows me to mitigate my risk and essentially reduce the amount of times that I lose. And of course, inevitably, when you lose less, you win more. And that's been my experience with putting all of this into practice. And wow, we've got one more win to go, guys. We're almost there. On the home stretch. We are doing great. And again, I think that's an 11 number count on the heat map. We've been holding on like ever since I came in at a hot moment and then it dropped down to about where it holds on to average. While we were waiting for this trigger, I mean, it was just staying at 12 forever. I mean, and I could have jumped in anywhere along that line and won, but I don't know where I'm at in the probability cycle. And that does mean something. As random as the game is, once a rare event happens, it's not going to happen again for a while on average. And that's what I bank on. And guys, we just did it. We got that last win, and that's 19 wins in the bag now. So let me know what you guys thought. If you liked the video, please do like and subscribe. I do really appreciate the support. It does help out the channel a great deal. So thank you very much. And leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this progression. I call it the hottest 18. It seems to be working extremely well. I mean, the proof is in the results, right? We've got 19 consecutive wins. So what are your thoughts, guys? Anyways, on that note, I'm going to let you go for now. And you guys take care. Have a great day. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
It's not luck, it's math. The count, watch the pressure build, then pounce. Same wheel spin, same house game, but knowledge shifts, who feels the pain? Bedmaster on, I don't guess tonight. I wait for the edge, then strike it right. They call it chance, I call it proof. Numbers don't lie, the math goes through.